A 4-year-old caught with chocolate smeared across their face looks you dead in the eye and swears they never touched the cake. It's a terrible lie, but it is also a milestone, because to tell it, that child had to do something extraordinary. Picture the contents of your mind. Realize your picture of the world differs from theirs, and then deliberately place something false inside your head. Somewhere in our deep past, a human did that for the very first time. The question is when. Here's what makes this so hard to answer. Lies don't fossilize. A spear leaves a mark on bone. A hearth leaves a layer of ash. A buried body leaves a skeleton we can date and study thousands of years later. But a lie leaves nothing at all. Nothing but a changed mind. And minds rot away with everything else they were made of. So we can't dig up the first fib. We can't carbon date a moment of deception. What we can do instead is trace the machinery a lie requires. Find the moment that machinery clicked into place, and ask when our ancestors first had everything they needed to deceive. And the surprising truth is that the story starts long before anything we would ever call human. Because deception itself is far older than us. Consider the vervet monkey. Vervets have specific alarm calls, different sounds for leopards, eagles, and snakes, and the troop reacts instantly and correctly to each one. It's a tiny spoken language of danger, but researchers watching these monkeys in the wild documented something sly. A low-ranking vervet, losing a fight or about to be chased off from a patch of food, will sometimes give the leopard alarm, the scramble for the trees shriek, when there is no leopard anywhere in sight. The rivals scatter for cover. The liar keeps the food. That is deception, plain and simple. And vervets sit on a branch of the family tree that split from ours tens of millions of years ago. It gets richer with our closer cousins. Primatologists studying chimpanzees, bonobos, and gorillas have collected hundreds of recorded cases of what they call tactical deception. A chimp who knows where food is hidden will calmly lead the group off in the wrong direction. Wait, then double back alone to claim the prize. A young gorilla, wanting to play when an adult has signaled that play is forbidden, will physically suppress its own play face, holding back the grin so it doesn't give the game away. There are reports of chimps hiding an erection behind a hand to conceal their intentions from a dominant male. These aren't random accidents or simple reflexes. They're flexible, tailored to the situation, and aimed squarely at manipulating what another animal believes. In the 1980s, researchers Richard Byrne and Andrew Whiten gathered so many of these examples that they built an entire theory around them. They argued that the pressure to outwit your rivals, and the matching pressure to catch others trying to outwit you, may have been one of the major engines driving primate brains to grow larger, faster, and sharper. They called it the Machiavellian intelligence hypothesis. In other words, deception didn't simply appear once we already had big brains. The arms race of deceiving and detecting may have helped build those brains in the first place. So if monkeys can cry wolf and apes can scheme, what exactly is left for us? Why isn't that toddler's lie about the cake just the same old trick a chimpanzee pulls in the forest? This is where it gets genuinely interesting, because there is a real and enormous difference between functional deception and a true lie. When a vervet sounds a false alarm, it almost certainly isn't sitting there thinking, my rival believes there is a leopard nearby, but I happen to know there isn't, and I have deliberately engineered this false belief in his head to my advantage. The behavior works perfectly well without any of that understanding. It can be learned through trial and error, the way a dog learns that scratching at the door gets the door opened. The monkey doesn't need a theory of the rival's mind. It just needs to notice that this particular sound tends to clear the area. A true lie demands something far deeper. It demands what psychologists call theory of mind, the ability to model another person's mental state as something separate from your own, to grasp that another mind can hold a belief that is simply false, and then to target that belief on purpose. And the remarkable thing is that we can actually watch this ability switch on, in real time, in living human children. There's a classic experiment for it called the false belief task. A child watches a little story play out with two puppets. The first puppet, Sally, hides a marble in a basket and then leaves the room. While Sally is gone, the second puppet sneaks the marble out of the basket and moves it into a nearby box. Then the experimenter turns to the watching child and asks one simple question. When Sally comes back, where will she look for her marble? 3-year-olds almost always say the box. They know the marble is really in the box, and they can't yet pry their own knowledge apart from Sally's. To them, what they know and what Sally knows are the same thing. But somewhere around the age of 4, children flip. They start confidently pointing to the basket, because they finally understand that Sally never saw the switch, so Sally still holds a false belief about the world. And here is the part that matters most for our story. It is right around this very same age that children become genuinely capable of deliberate, strategic lying. The two abilities arrive hand in hand, because deep down they are the same ability wearing two different hats. To lie well, you must first understand that a mind can be wrong, and then understand that you yourself can make it wrong. That gives us our real question, the sharpened version of it. Not when did our ancestors first deceive, because that answer is tens of millions of years deep and shared with half the primate order. The real question is, when did our ancestors first possess full theory of mind? When did a hominin look at another and think, in some wordless way, I know something you do not, and I can use that gap between us? Here the trail goes cold, and the honest answer is that researchers genuinely disagree. Theory of mind leaves no direct fossil, but we can hunt for its fingerprints in the things early humans made and did, because so much of human behavior secretly depends on modeling other minds. Sophisticated cooperation, deliberate teaching, shared ritual, symbolic art, all of it leans on the ability to imagine what's happening inside someone else's head. Think about personal ornaments. When our ancestors began drilling holes in shells and stringing them to wear on the body, they were doing something subtle, sending a signal about themselves to other people. And any signal that can be sent honestly can also be sent dishonestly. We find pierced shell beads at sites in North Africa and the Near East, dating back roughly 100,000 years, and possibly considerably more. We find the deliberate collection and use of red ochre, very plausibly for marking the body or objects, reaching back even further into the Middle Stone Age. These are hints of minds that had already started thinking carefully about how they appeared to other minds, which is the soil a lie grows in. And then there is language, the tool that supercharged everything. Most of the lies we tell aren't acted out in pantomime. They're spoken aloud. To say the words "I wasn't there," you need vocabulary, you need grammar, and above all you need the power to describe a world that does not actually exist. Pinning down exactly when fully modern language emerged is one of the most fiercely debated questions in all of human science, with serious, well-argued estimates ranging from under 100,000 years ago to several 100,000 years or more. We have tantalizing indirect clues, like a gene called FOXP2, which is tied to speech and fine motor control of the mouth, and which our lineage carries in a slightly different form from other apes. But a gene doesn't hand us a date for the first full sentence, let alone the first false one. What we can say with some confidence is this: once our ancestors could truly speak, the lie became almost inevitable. A creature that can describe the past, sketch the future, and conjure the merely possible can just as easily describe the untrue. Fiction and falsehood are two branches growing from the very same gift. So, when did ancient humans first tell a lie? The most honest answer is a layered one. The raw act of deception is ancient beyond reckoning, woven into the social lives of our primate ancestors millions of years before we existed. But the true lie, the deliberate planting of a false belief inside another mind, almost certainly arrived alongside full theory of mind, somewhere in the long dawn of our own species, most likely within the last few 100,000 years, and was then sharpened into something unmistakably human, once we had language to carry it. There was never a single first liar we could name and point to. There was a slow lighting up instead, mind by mind, generation by generation, until one day one of our ancestors looked at another, understood exactly what they believed, and quietly chose to bend it. And that is worth sitting with for a moment. We tend to think of lying as a flaw, a crack running through our nature, a thing to be ashamed of. But the capacity to lie turns out to be inseparable from some of the very finest things about us: empathy, imagination, and the ability to truly grasp that other people have inner worlds every bit as rich and real as our own. You cannot deceive a mind you cannot first imagine. The same machinery that lets a child fib about a slice of cake is the machinery that lets us comfort a grieving friend with exactly the right words, write a novel that makes a stranger weep, or simply guess what someone we love is thinking before they say it. The first lie was not the day we fell from grace. It may well have been one of the days we became fully, beautifully, complicatedly human. Which raises an even stranger question. If lying really is that old, then so is its opposite, the deliberate choice to tell the truth, when you could so easily get away with not telling it. So when did ancient humans start gambling?